Welcome to Wabasan Wire today. We're talking about Ahmad Zahid's campaign promises for Sabah. So we've been watching the momentum building in Sabah, and the chairman of Barisan Nasional, Ahmad Zahid just came out with a really defining set of
Yeah,
commitments.
this wasn't just a regular speech.
No, not at all. He basically laid out a 5-year guarantee if Barisan Nasional wins the state government. And I think what we need to do is unpack these pledges and really ask, are they even achievable?
That's the big question. And what's interesting is how tangible they are. It's not abstract policy. He's targeting these huge, fundamental quality of life issues for Sabahans.
Right.
The whole pitch seems to rest on solving two massive problems. Infrastructure, which is in a terrible state, and just getting the basic necessities like water and electricity sorted.
And for people there, these aren't small things, they're daily struggles.
Exactly. They impact everything,
Yeah.
health, business, just basic stability.
Okay, so let's start with the infrastructure, because that's where the biggest promise seems to be. The main pledge is, well, it's audacious. He's saying that if Barisan Nasional takes over, they will solve Sabah's water and electricity problems, which have been going on for decades, within a single 5-year term.
A 5-year timeline. That's incredibly aggressive.
It seems almost impossible when you think about how deep these problems run.
It's a very high-risk, high-reward promise, for sure. And you can't really talk about that without connecting it to the Pan-Borneo Highway project.
The big one.
Yeah, the economic artery for the whole region. We're talking over 2,000 kilometers in total, with more than 700 of that in Sabah alone. Getting that highway done is absolutely key.
And this is where the politics gets really interesting because he has a perfect point of comparison right next door.
In Sarawak, yep. The data is it's brutal when you compare them.
What are we looking at?
Well, Sarawak's part of the highway is basically done. The latest report said it was 99% complete. 99%. They expect it to be fully operational very, very soon. It just goes to show that these huge projects can be done efficiently in Borneo. The blueprint works.
Okay, so now compare that with Sabah. That's where the frustration must be boiling over.
It is. I mean, the first phase, 1A, that's mostly done. But the next phase, phase 1B, it's basically at a standstill.
What's the number on that?
It's at about 3% completion.
3. So you've got 99% in Sarawak and 3% in Sabah.
Exactly. That massive gap is the source of so much public anger. And it's the core of the political narrative that Zahid is building. You have to ask, why is there a 96% difference in progress?
Right, and while some might blame the pandemic.
You could, but it feels like it goes deeper. It points to things like contract disputes, funding that stops and starts because of political instability, just bureaucracy that kills all momentum.
So his argument is essentially, we bring the stability needed to get past all of that.
That's the message. We'll provide the political will to get this thing done, to get that Sarawak level of efficiency. It's not just about building. It's about getting rid of the roadblocks.
And it goes beyond just the highway. He also mentioned upgrading rural and village roads,
which are the real lifelines for so many communities. Plus, he's promising to secure more federal money specifically for Sabah's infrastructure. That's an admission that the state can't do it alone.
So it's a mandate to basically catch up on 50 years of neglect in 60 months.
It's a staggering task. To fix water and power means replacing ancient pipes, upgrading transmission lines, building new facilities. It's a logistical nightmare. But if he pulls it off, it changes everything.
Okay, so let's pivot from the physical infrastructure to the economic side of things, because he tied all of this to a pretty sharp critique of recent economic performance.
He did. And he used poverty rates as his main weapon.
How so?
It's really clever, actually. He uses historical data to frame the present. He points out that Sabah once had this huge poverty rate, something like 34%.
Wow, a third of the population.
Yeah. But then he highlights that under the previous Barisan Nasional government, it was cut down drastically. By 2018, it was down to 14.7%.
That's a massive drop. You can't argue with that kind of progress.
It is undeniable progress. But then he says that progress is now being undone.
What's the current figure he's using?
According to his assessment, the poverty rate has now crept back up to 17% this year.
So an increase of over 2 percentage points.
Right. Now, the current government would obviously say that's because of things they couldn't control, like the pandemic's economic fallout.
Of course. Global factors.
But Zahid's narrative is much simpler and probably more effective. He's basically saying when they were in charge, things got worse for the most vulnerable people. It's a direct link he's drawing between the change in government and economic hardship.
But is that a fair link to make, given the global situation?
Well, that's the debate, isn't it? He's counting on the voters not to care about the nuance. He's just presenting a simple scorecard. Under us, poverty went down. Under them, it went up. It's a powerful message.
It really is. It reinforces that whole theme of stability. Stability means development and prosperity, while instability leads to decline.
Exactly. And speaking of instability, we have to talk about the most shocking part of his speech. The part about the political frogs.
The 50 million ringgit hammer.
Yes. For anyone listening outside Malaysia, a political frog is an elected official who switches parties after winning, usually to shift the balance of power. It's been a massive problem in Sabah, causing government after government to collapse.
And it drives voters crazy.
It creates so much fatigue and distrust. So Zahid's response is this non-negotiable condition for all his candidates.
So what is the penalty exactly?
It's designed to be absolutely crushing. He said, and I'm quoting the sentiment here, that any Barisan National State Assemblyman who defects after winning their seat will be fined 50 million ringgit. This isn't just a slap on the wrist. It's a threat of complete financial ruin.
Let's just put that number in perspective. How does that compare to what an assemblyman earns?
Oh, it's not even comparable. It would be many, many times more than they could ever hope to earn in their entire political career. The figure is deliberately impossibly high.
So why go that extreme?
Because he wants to send the clearest possible signal. Loyalty is everything. They will not tolerate the kind of instability that has crippled the state for years. That fine is basically an insurance policy for the voter.
It completely changes the game for anyone even thinking about defecting.
It does. Before, it was a political risk. Now, it's guaranteed financial destruction for them and their family. It removes almost any incentive to jump ship.
And it probably makes other parties think twice about trying to poach anyone.
Absolutely. Who wants to take on a new member who comes with a 50 million ringgit liability? It's a brilliant piece of political engineering, using a financial threat to solve a political problem.
So when you put it all together, what Zahid presented is a really cohesive, two-pronged strategy.
It is. On one hand, you have the promises of tangible development water, electricity, the highway, all tied to this narrative of economic competence.
Then on the other hand,
You have the guarantee of stability, locked in place by this unprecedented financial penalty against any betrayal. It's a package deal.
it's probably the highest stakes pitch we've seen in a while. He's trying to solve Sabah's two biggest problems, development and volatility, at the same time.
And if he can actually deliver, it would completely transform the state. The question for the voters is, do they believe him? Do they believe that the party that oversaw that initial drop in poverty can really pull off this incredible 5-year plan?
The timeline is what I keep coming back to. I mean, given the sheer scale of Sabah, the history of these problems, the bureaucracy, is a 5-year timeline to solve everything truly realistic, or is it just a powerful campaign promise to win an election? And I guess for you, the listener, what would be an acceptable deadline for getting something as basic as clean water and power that doesn't fail? Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.